coming to you from the all-new Live House in Hollywood, California.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Pensado's Place. First, if you would, sign up for our newsletter, like and subscribe, and click notify. That's always a good thing, and we thank you for that support. As you know, our friends at Sweetwater, we got a lot of plans going on with them. What an incredible organization they are. We're going to be announcing something pretty soon where you're going to have a chance to win really big. And right now, we want to introduce something that they came up with that I think is going to be very cool. This one is going to be for all you home guitar players, and even not home guitar players, in a little piece we call Sound Advice.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Today we're checking out some solutions and tips for recording guitar amplifiers direct. We all know that one of the problems with tube guitar amplifiers is that in order to get a great tone out of them, you have to crank them up and they get really loud. This can be a problem if you're recording in an apartment, at home, if you have a studio that's not soundproof, but there are solutions out there that let us work with tube amps without extreme volume levels. I have 4 of those solutions here today. We have the 2 Notes Torpedo Cab M, Universal Audio Aux, the Boss Waza Tube Amplifier Expander, and the Rivera Mini Rock Rec. Now these all allow you to take the speaker output from your amplifier and route it straight into your DAW. I released an EP last year called Foundation, where I recorded about 90% of the amplifiers direct using these tools. In fact, the one I had was the Rivera Mini Rock Rec, which is an analog solution. And I came up with some processes that allowed me to get a very realistic tone. Let's take a look in Pro Tools. Here's an excerpt of the overall final mix. There are 2 things you want to focus on when you're trying to ensure the authenticity of direct recorded guitar amplifiers. The first of those is EQ. In each of my channels of Pro Tools, I have 2 different EQs going. The first of these is doing a broad shaping in the mid-range. The second is doing additional shaping on the top and the bottom. I'm also applying just a little bit of compression, just a dB or so to smooth things out a little bit. But the key as far as EQ is concerned is using a dynamic equalizer. I've got a Waves F6 here, and you can see that I've got a bit of a boost going on in the lower mid-range, as well as in the upper mid-range where things can get harsh. When I play back, you'll see the dynamic response changing as the EQ responds to the incoming signal. What I'm looking for is for the F6 to tame that harshness on the top, which can happen with direct recorded amplifiers, and also to fill out the lower mid-range where it's needed. So you can see when that's playing back that bands 3 and bands 5 are responding dynamically to what's coming in from the guitar amplifier. The second key is making sure you have room ambience added in. When you put a microphone on an amplifier, of course you're going to capture the direct signal, but even when you're close up on the speaker cabinet, you're going to get a little bit of the room effect as well. If you don't add some of that in, the signal can sound sterile. So let me show you the signal playing back here with no room and with a little bit of room added back in. And here's with the room on. Now that's not the kind of reverb that stands out to you in a mix, but it's the kind of thing that you really miss when you turn it off. It's just adding life, it's adding width, it's adding depth to the signal. It makes a big difference when you're working with direct recorded guitar amplifier signals. And then when we go on to do our mix, of course, I'm adding delays, I'm adding reverbs and so on, a more fully produced sound. But getting that sound optimized basically at the source here using this type of processing is going to allow you to capture direct recorded tube amplifiers and have them sound like you have a microphone on them in the room. Thanks for joining me here at Pensado's Place. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.
Our guest is irrepressible, full of information, and has built one of the most outstanding brands in the business. I'm sure you know his product, and now you get a chance to know the man. Please enjoy our conversation with the one, the only, Steven Slate. Hey, bro.
Hey, how you guys doing?
How are you, man?
The barbecue.
Always excellent around you guys.
Oh, man, and us too. Started in Boston, drum samples, and what was the origination of the beginning? You said a funny story before we went on camera.
Well, I mean,
what inspired you?
Well, what I was saying before the cameras were on was that when I first got into music, it was simply because that I wasn't all that great at sports, and if I was gonna get chicks, I had to do something. So guitar seemed like the next best bet for me.
And you know,
still didn't work that well.
I think
but
that's true for all of us, really.
The strategy seemed like it made sense at the time.
And it's pretty true for most male executives who aren't recording artists. The stimulus is the same. But somewhere in the past, because what's clear in your product is your passion for excellence, your attention to detail is like insane. Yeah. Like a dB here, or an increment here, or the wrong chip there, whatever the case may be, you will not tolerate that kind of stuff. The quality of your products is true. So where did that passion come around as a kid?
Well, once I actually, got into music, then I realized how much I actually loved it. Mm-hmm. Aside from the trying to obtain the attention of the opposite sex. And I think once you are passionate about anything, and music's pretty easy, at least for me to be passionate about, and certainly a lot of people share that sentiment. Once you're passionate about something, I think perfectionism is a natural byproduct. And perfectionism, I think, is a helpful thing, especially in any type of product design. And product design isn't just actually making products, because making music is a product in itself.
Right.
Right. And I always compare what we do to making music. I started off really focusing on making music as a musician, and now it's making products. But the process and the desires and the influence is really the same. I might end up with a plugin, someone else might end up with a pop song.
Taking that further, a plugin like the F116 modern version, quickly, if you can, a couple of seconds, can you take me from conception to when the plugin finally came out? In other words,
what's the product?
You had a lot to do with that plugin.
Yeah, sure. Told. So the 116 is based on the classic FET compressor. And
when did you get the idea?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember the process.
Okay.
So, I mean, and I was always a fan of those compressors. In fact, I made an analog version called the Dragon with a company called Slate Pro Audio, which I ended up selling once we started focusing more on the plugins. But the thing about the FET compressor is when you put the release all the way fast, it did this thing where it shoves all the source track just right in your face. It just made everything aggressive. And that was really cool. But the problem is, if you put it on some drums, the attack was so fast that even on the slowest setting, it would kind of take off the attack. So it was great on vocals and different things where you didn't really have a transient, but and it's great on drums too, if your intention is to take the transient off. But if you wanted to have that aggressive in-your-face thing, but keep a little of the smack, it's just too fast. So really the influence of the 116 modern, which is the bright blue, solid blue of the three 116s that we make, was to decouple the attack and release, because the circuit topology of that compressor has a coupled attack and release. So if I figured if we decouple the attack and made it independent, we could slow it down. So we'd have that really aggressive in-your-face release with a slower attack to really allow more transient material in. So you can really put that compressor on a wider variety of sources, and you'd have a little more control.
Oh, that's so cool. I use it on vocals a lot.
It's great on vocals, thank you.
So next time we get into a fight, I'll decouple the attack so that the topography just rolls up.
I don't know if it's going to work like that. I'm not sure if it translates over
That could be a long time coming, because we really never get into fights.
There is a bundle of Slate companies, let alone a bundle that's Slate products. Tell us about give us a sense of each company and what it does.
And why you made it a separate company.
Yeah, so it started off with my own company, and we made this drum product called Steven Slate drums and Trigger, and that was kind of my own thing. And then I met Fabrice Gabriel, and we started Slate Digital. And that's all the Slate Digital products, the analog model plugins.
Anything that says FG is here.
Yeah, anything that says FG is a Slate Digital product. And then on my own, I still had this company. We made these drum products, but I still had my own brand. And out of that brand, we made a sub-brand called Slate Media Technology, and that's who makes the Raven. And those are the primary products of that company.
Raven changed the world. It really did.
We hope so.
It really did.
Well, I was going to ask, because the Raven seemed to me, we've known each other a long time, and I remember when we first had you on way back in Santa Monica, and you were evolving then, and there's been these sort of Steven Slate inflection points where something felt like the needle moved again, and the needle moved again, and the Raven felt like that. Yeah. Was that true inside your company? The Raven was...
Well, I knew the technology I knew it made sense. I mean, we spent 20 years putting the whole entire recording studio on a screen, and I said to myself, well, the easiest way to manipulate that screen is clearly just to touch the damn screen.
Right, right.
You know, and I knew it made sense. And it took a little bit for the industry to kind of catch up and go, okay, you know, because it's a nostalgic industry. And part of that nostalgia is walking into a studio and seeing what?
Yeah.
Seeing that huge SSL with knobs and faders. And that's a beautiful, you know, concept, and it's a beautiful part of what we consider is a recording studio, and to replace that, I think, could be possibly intimidating or you know, sometimes offensive to people. But really, when it comes down to it, this isn't about walking in and looking at a bunch of knobs and faders. It's about making a piece of music. And the Raven really helps you do that. And once that caught on, it caught on pretty fast. And that's from at least what our dealers say, it's one of the top-selling control surfaces out there.
And we would hear it here on the show. And we could feel it throughout the industry, like this, the needle moved. And oftentimes, what we've noticed around your various companies is that even if you're not trying, even though we're all kind of trying because we want to win, we're competitive, when it moves pretty significantly. You have an audio legends component to your business as well, too. What is that?
One of the greatest things about my position and kind of my age is I came up at a time in an area which was northern New Jersey, which was outside of Manhattan, where I had the luxury and also the hustle, of course, about going to these big studios and learning from pros, directly from pros.
Yep.
And it's a luxury that a lot of people don't necessarily have.
No question.
And the internet is this great, you know, ecosystem to be able to offer media materials to people. And I thought, what a great way to have a service where people can learn from these pros. If we get these pros to open up and tell us what they're doing and show us their technique and to offer this to people. And that's what Audio Legends is about. It's about having, you know, professional audio engineers, producers, mixers, music makers share their techniques, their skills, their talents with everyday people. And by using our software package, which is available in a low-priced membership, you can get all of the tools they're using on the session. So that's kind of the unique angle. That it's not just having the courses, but also being able to have the processing tools so they can really follow along. So it's not like, you know, in a course where maybe a pro is using 15 different plugins from several different companies, and if you were to replicate those plugins, you have to spend a few $1,000s on the processors alone. So that's one of the cool, unique angles about Audio Legends.
Who influenced you?
I mean, everyone. Dave Pensado influenced me. Chris O'Dowd influenced me. Andy Wallace influenced me. Jay Baumgartner. You know, a lot of people who I'm really lucky to call my peers now have been really influential.
Do you think we'll have another Christmas party at Jay's studio anytime soon?
Yes, I do.
Those were
fun.
Yeah, fun. Not the word I was thinking.
I'd say they're pretty legendary.
Yeah, they are.
Been to a few.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love the one where Santa caught fire, but that's another story.
In your development process, is artificial intelligence a big part of what you do, or machine learning, or?
Artificial intelligence is a funny word because real artificial intelligence is different from the term artificial intelligence, which is thrown around for much more basic processes. To answer your question, there are parts of artificial intelligence and parts of I'd rather call them, you know, intelligent algorithms that are trying to adapt and learn and figure things out. And yes, that's certainly part of the future of what we're doing.
And is part of somebody's job to find those people who are fluent in that and find new designers, find new coders?
Always. We're always
on the search.
We're always trying to get the best talent. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You know, we look all over the world.
We do. Yeah.
I figured it's
the Blackbird mic collection is kind of special. How did that come about? We love Blackbird here and we love John.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it comes about by first you visit Blackbird, and if you're a studio guy like me, and I've been in a lot of studios. Yeah. But there's very few studios like Blackbird. No question. So you go to Blackbird.
I'd say none.
And you get the grand tour. I'm lucky enough to have it by John himself. Yeah. You get that grand tour, and you know going in how much some of these vintage microphones cost and how rare they are. Like for instance, I remember buying a U47. Just that one U47. That's 2 years of work to save up for that guy, man.
Right.
You know, and you go into Blackbird and you get this grand tour by John, and then you go into the mic locker. And he shows you dozens.
Amazing.
Dozens of 47s. Well, he's got, I think, 1,500 mics total. But I'm just talking about, you go to 251s, he's got dozens. And you see all these mics. And one move that John used to do, and I begged him to not do this, is that he has one of the only stereo 251 microphones. And he talks about how this is the most rare microphone he has, and it's worth probably upwards of $100,000.
We know this is going right here.
And then he goes, hey, can you catch? And he chucks it at you.
Yep.
And he did that to me twice, and he did it to Fabrice once. And I begged him never to do it again, because one of these damn days, someone's going to drop that mic. Right. And then what happens?
Right.
He did it to you, right, Herb?
Yeah, he did.
He did it to you as well. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, I mean, he has one of the biggest microphone collections out there, and he has microphones that are legendary. For instance, the 251 that we modeled for the Blackbird pack, that's a microphone that you cannot access if you go to Blackbird, because that's the Martina McBride, his wife, 251.
Wow.
And that's the microphone that only she uses, and it is breathtaking. That's the only way to describe that microphone. So we modeled that, and it's been one of the crowd pleasers. Then there's a 47 we modeled, and keep in mind, when he's letting us model a 47, that's the best of the best 47s that he has. And George Massenberg actually called that microphone the best 47 he's heard, at least according to John. And we modeled that. So we got to model all these the best of the best microphones from a collection that is unparalleled. And it was a lot of fun, and that thing's doing so well. I can't believe how well that pack is doing.
I mean, his mics.
It's good. It's really good.
Some of the numbers start at 0 or they're 1.
Yeah, the swastika.
Some have swastikas on them because
he has got old Nazi Germany microphones.
Unreal.
It's kind of crazy.
It is really, it really is unreal. Are you in product development now? New stuff coming?
Herb, we've never not been in product development.
You're constantly. Exactly.
There's never going to be a day where it's like, all right, I think we can just take a pause from product development. It's always going to be ongoing for sure.
Any things you can talk about that you're developing, or too early?
It's these days, I don't know if you guys have known this, but Slate companies have a little bit of a reputation for announcing stuff a wee bit early. So nowadays, we like to kind of just say
showing restraint.
Yeah, I think it's a better method.
What did you do when you were a kid, Herb?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a little bit more tight-lipped and just say that we got lots of fun stuff coming. I'm happier and more passionate about the new stuff than I've ever been before, and I'm just excited for people to start using it.
So we'll go to lunch and talk about it.
There you go.
And then we'll figure out when to share it.
Absolutely.
All right, good stuff, good stuff.
But there's a lot of it, I'll tell you that. The one thing I can say is we got a lot of stuff in the works.
What does your ear like musically? Do you like all kinds of stuff? Do you lean towards certain things musically?
It sounds cliche, guys, but I really do listen to everything. I'll give you just an example of the things I've been listening to in the last 48 hours alone. I was listening to Dan and Shay, which was mixed by my buddy Jeff Giuliano, because I just think, man, they're just such talented country pop songs. I listened to the new Halsey track because I think she's incredible.
Oh, that's great.
That I threw on this morning for my workout, Metallica, Black Album. I know there's a fight on whether that's the good Metallica or the bad Metallica, but whatever. That's what I listen to.
Good work for you, sure.
And then on the way to the office, I threw on the White Album. So that's a great representation of my musical taste. I mean, if it's good, I'll listen to it, and I like anything. The genre doesn't have to be specific.
Do you, when you're developing your product, do you ever get input from friends or people that you trust or things?
All the time.
Yeah. Go out and find out what.
Oh, absolutely. It's so crucial to do that.
Yeah.
You can't pigeonhole yourself into one taste, and it's got to be it's got to be a diverse group.
Yeah.
One person will swear that this is the thing you got to do, and this is the method you got to go for, and he's right, because that's the method that works for him or her. And then you might find a completely different perspective, and the right answer for the product might be somewhere in the middle. It might be an overlap of the two, or it might inspire you to go a whole different direction.
Right.
What triggers in you the need to create an emulation of an analog plug-in? What is it that goes through your mind that says, do you do it based on you think it could sell, or based on you use yours a lot and you like it and you want other people to have access to it?
It's due a lot to, that's where I came from. I still came from that school where I'm familiar with these pieces. And a lot of people are familiar with these pieces. This is a piece where they get what that sound is. It's a familiar thing that it does. So if we can recreate that it's an easier way for them to work. Having said that, we've also branched out and done things that are slightly away from old analog tools.
The FGX?
Certainly the FGX, which was the first Slate Digital plugin, didn't really do anything that was just an analog model.
It changed a lot of things. A lot of people followed in that vacuum that you filled.
Sure. And we've had some other plugins in the Slate Digital lineup that did some similar things. There's a plugin called Bomber. It's not really based on.
I love Bomber.
Yeah,
in fact, I wrote down to ask you how that came about. I know what it is.
Yeah.
But
you know what? That was really an accident plugin where Fabrice at the time made me a prototyping module that just did a lot of stuff, and I was actually trying to make a different processor, but I kept on getting sidetracked by this mistake that I was doing. I was like, this shouldn't work. I'm doing this path of processing, and I go, but man, it's just so good. I think you've been down that road where you make a left turn, and you're not supposed to be there, but you're like, man, the drinks are really nice here, and that's kind of how Bomber came along, and I'm like, man, but this is doing so much stuff. I'm like, how can I confine it into a process that wouldn't be intimidating to people? And I think we kind of did, and that's a plugin that a lot of people seem to enjoy.
The people that know it love it. Along with the 116, people that know it love it. I like those kind of accidents in the creative space, like when you're mixing in something and everything you just did was wrong, but you can't beat it. It sounds great.
Right.
Those happy accidents.
Do you ever produce or mix or master or?
I do, but the unfortunate circumstance is that if I'm doing that, it has to be tied to a tutorial or something I can kind of have multi-purpose use for the company. Because unfortunately, I just don't have time to dedicate just for something. Like if I mix someone's project, for instance, I just mixed a song for my buddy Trev Lukather, Steve Lukather's son, who's just an amazing talent. I did a project for his girlfriend, but we're also going to be able to use that for some tutorials, and that's kind of the give and take. If I work on something, I got to be able to have multi-use. It's got to have multi-use.
Do you use the Raven in your personal studio?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm addicted to it. I mean, the biggest problem with that is that you put me on another computer screen, I'm always touching stuff. I mean, I've got my fingerprints on all my buddies' iMacs because I'm just so used to reaching out and grabbing stuff. It's way more intuitive to me.
I think I was at the 1500 Sound Academy. I'm an advisor to the school, and I think they got a Raven.
Yeah.
I think from you. Yeah. The guys down there, they're excited about it for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
It's a different world, isn't it? I mean, we've come a long way.
Sure have.
In terms of, I don't have a question.
Oh,
I was trying to stall to get it going through, but it just didn't come to the surface.
Mark that for an edit. Your team, how big is it? Because I know Jamie's here, and Jamie's kind of Captain Raven, right?
Yeah, the team we got 2 offices. Actually, maybe 3 or 4, considering that the drum offices are different. But the main offices are in LA and in Grenoble, France. Grenoble, France.
Grenoble.
I've been trying to pronounce Grenoble properly with the French accent for, now it's been 10 years.
But don't get it right.
And I've never gotten it right, and I never plan to. It's just never going to happen. I'm always corrected by the Grenoble guys. So now I say it like the Yankee that I am, Grenoble.
What goes on at that office?
That's our main development office, and there's a lot of coding going on, a lot of development going on.
Is that where Fabrice is?
Well, Fabrice is back and forth. He's
got it.
Half in the LA office, half in the Grenoble office. And yeah, we got a big talented team over there. To be honest with you, I mean, it's a great growing team. I don't even know the exact number in the Grenoble office. And I don't know, is Jamie out here? Jamie, how many do we have in the LA office? 25, 30, 40? Probably like 35. 35?
Wow.
Yeah.
Growing.
Man, that's a long way from the old Laurel Canyon facility, huh? Yeah,
so I think we got about 35 here and another 25 or so in France and a few little small pods here and there. But to me, it's not about the number, though. It's about the talent.
Yeah.
We got great talent.
When you're putting together something like the SSD5, the live drum kit, and you've got so many options, like, for example, you've got the snare at different velocities. You've got ambience. You've got different mic placements. You actually have to sit and record all of those things, right? I mean,
someone has to sit and record them all.
Yeah, the company does. But
I have the luxury now. If I get the sound and it sounds good, I'm like, all right, then sounds good. Sound good. All right,
get it.
But it might take, like in the Blackbird drum kit, you might take 10 microphones or 10 sources of information.
It's a lot, especially now, because in the old days, we would do multi-sampling, but it's nothing compared to what we do now.
Describe that process now.
What we do now, we capture so much of the drum. There's there could be up to 50 velocities now. Each one of those velocities has 20, 30 hits. So it's pretty crazy what we do now. And so I used to, the first original Steven Slate drums, I recorded, sat there, engineered, edited every single sample, including the hi-hats. Luckily now, I got guys to do that because, man, it's a lot.
But that was just a single microphone, one recording, right? I mean, it was...
No, I mean, some of them were some multi-mic stuff. But,
you had ambience and stuff?
Yeah, we had ambience. The original SSD stuff, we had a big ambient mic that was going through some 1176s. And yeah, but...
The new 5, how many gigs is the sample pack?
I'm not exactly even sure, but
probably massive, huh?
It's definitely a pretty good-sized library. We do have some compression that doesn't affect the audio quality, which kind of sinks it a little bit. But yeah, it's a pretty damn big drum library, and it sounds great. You know, but you need all those files because if you're trying to reproduce a real drummer, you need it all.
I was going to say your storage and organization process must be super thorough.
Yeah. It's gotten better over the years for sure.
Yeah, because if not, I mean, trying to find something amongst all that, or having it mislabeled or misfiled, that becomes tough.
What I like doing with that kit is instead of I'll resample. Instead of sampling the ka, I'll just sample the ah. So I'll put a bunch of those little tails. They don't have any of the drum itself, just the decay in the room. And then I have a collection of those where I run through triggers. So if I want to
just sample the ambience,
if I want the entry door in one of the studios in John's studio, that chamber, I just take the chamber and sample that by itself. And that gives me a whole new usage for that sample pack. So
I've always had certain samples where the close mic wasn't really a favorite of mine, but the ambience mic was great. Yeah. So I take just that ambience mic and I mix it with other close mics, and that's always a great technique.
It's pretty cool, I didn't realize it was that many samples, though. Gee whiz.
One of the things that we try to do here is think about the whole person, because it requires mental efficiency and mental health, physical health. Like it's a grind that can eat you up if not. Now, known for barbecue, known for meat, had some health issues and so on and so forth. Now you're looking like incredible in shape.
Oh, thanks.
How are you eating now? What has changed? What?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was kind of known as a pretty heavy carnivore. And at some point...
I went to eat with you and in Nashville, and he didn't order. He just went back to back and slid a pig off the rack, and we just chopped into it.
Let me explain the background of this. The background came from at some point, maybe in my late 20s, early 30s, when I was really driving the company and growing the company and working hard. I was like, I need a hobby. I needed a hobby. And for whatever reason, I was in Austin, Texas, and I went to this barbecue joint called Franklin's Barbecue.
Right.
And I mean, that's kind of like the best barbecue in the world, Aaron Franklin. And I had this barbecue, and I said, this is it. I need to learn how to make this, because that made me happy. So I bought a smoker, and I started studying up on smoking meats. Now, here's the funny part about barbecue. I wanted something that was away from audio, And you get in a barbecue, and all of a sudden you realize, man, you need to figure out the technique. So you go online, and there's basically an online forum for barbecue guys. You got the old school guys, and you're trying to learn their techniques, but they're a little secret about their techniques. And there's different seasonings and there are different rubs. And then you got the digital versus analog guys. Some guys using some of the new Traeger smokers, the pellet smokers versus the old
pour a bottle
versus the old log, real stick burners. And I'm like, holy shit!
It's audio.
It's the damn audio industry.
It's audio.
That's the truth. That's the damn audio industry, and you got vehemently defending why if you're doing barbecue, you got to be burning logs, and oh no, it's okay to be doing coal, and this rub's okay, and you can't foil this and can't foil that. I'm like, man, I found myself in the audio industry. But anyway, I absolutely love barbecue, and I started making so much barbecue, and the byproduct of loving barbecue is eating barbecue. And that lasted for about 10 years, and I finally got to the point now I'm in my late 30s. And I'm like, this is not a sustainable lifestyle. So I started getting a little healthier, started doing more cardio, started eating more stuff that was green.
So you're grilling Brussels sprouts now, right?
I eat a lot more veggies now, man. My new thing is I learned that if you take zucchini and you make it into what looks kind of like pasta stuff, and you put some pasta sauce and a little cheese on it. It works.
Delicious.
So yeah, man.
I can't believe we're getting food advice from
I
you.
know. I mean, I'm not endorsing that you listen to. I'm not a nutritionist here. But,
no, I think it's the world we live in is a much better world when it comes to nutrition.
Well, and also
taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I also think particularly for the audience at home, you can't underestimate how important it is for you to have your health.
Exactly.
We're this week, as we're talking about it, a notable friend of ours just passed away.
Yeah.
Dave Aaron.
Yeah.
And, it's no joke. And we're seeing it not as somebody gets to their 60s all the time. You're seeing problems with people in their 30s and 40s and so forth. So it's important that I think leaders in the space say to people, hey, this is like serious, and if you see warning signs, you want to clip those early and make a shift.
I agree. In fact, we should be good about encouraging each other to do that more. You know, it's easy for me to slip, but
it's completely true, and I think it's important that people see us being concerned about it and understand it's no joke. Look, this show was born based on a medical incident. I remember us being it might have been NAMM. And we had a health conversation at the time. We were taking different things, we've seen people pass and get sick or get so. The good news that you can do something about it, and you can do something about it that tastes good, and you can make a lifestyle change that's good for you and good for your creativity. Remember, you're in a business, particularly if you're on the creative side, that is mostly sedentary. You're sitting at something, doing things, and you have to make a point to move.
I think it's a good message, yeah.
So before we get to batter's box, which is coming right up, one of the things that I imagine you do you monitor the marketplace to stay ahead of the curve, see what other people's doing, to see where your products
100%.
can fill a need?
Oh, absolutely.
You have to be relentless about it.
And it's not just even the marketplace. It's just about, hanging out with your customers, hanging out with the people who you're making tools for. We've got a great Facebook group called Slate Audiophiles, and I think it's 45,000 just of our customers hanging out there, and it's just great to be there and to hear what people are doing, whether it's with our stuff or our competitor stuff. It's all education. It's all important. So I think that's something that we definitely do, and I definitely do.
Yeah, it was same with Pensado students, which is somewhere around 30, but we just get information back, let them do it themselves. And now is the batter's box test, where Dave, your losing streak is like 400 and some odd, so we don't expect it to change now.
Well, in my culture, in my world, I like to be polite, so they're guests of mine and yours, and so to just cream them wouldn't be right.
So you're being kind. You're showing restraint.
Yeah, and respect.
Okay, well then restrain up this batter's box then. You ready?
Waves. No, I'm just joking. I was trying to...
Pioneers.
Okay, I'll be respectful now.
That's good.
Analog.
A medium.
Trigger. Not the horse, the plug-in.
Useful.
Very useful. Virtual mics.
Creative.
EQ.
Utility.
Guitars.
Gibson Les Paul.
Your desert plug-in. If you were stranded on an island, what one of the Slate plugins would you carry with you?
FG Stress.
Ooh, good. Mastering.
FGX. The original dog.
Vocals.
FG 116 Blue Circuit 2.
That's a good answer. That's the right answer. There was only one answer, so that was it. Reverb.
Verb Suite Classics 480 A plate.
Damn. What's the least expensive piece of equipment that you've made an emulation of some sort?
Well, I'll answer that by saying this isn't really an emulation, but the least expensive thing that I think is really useful is a plugin called Revival.
Yeah.
And it's not expensive because it's free.
Yeah.
And I use it all over the place.
I do too. Like I told you in the green room, I do too.
And I know this is cheating, but the secondary answer to that is a plugin called Monster, which is basically like the effect compressor with all 4 buttons in.
Yeah.
And that's also free. And I use that all over the place too.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
The price is right, that's for sure.
That's it, Herb. I got no more.
Yeah, and he cleaned your clock, but that's okay. We expected that.
Well, I mean, of course, he's my guest, you know.
As a business model, subscription important now. A change.
Essential.
It is essential.
It's essential. I mean, we want people to be able to use our plugins and not feel that they need to spend lots of their hard-earned money, that they should be paying rent or buying food or spending money on their families. We want people to use our plugins in a way where we can have success and they can have success. And the barrier to entry was always too high. I remember being 21, 22 years old in Boston and trying to buy these expensive plugin bundles. I couldn't do it.
Yep.
And, and not to say that it validates the piracy problem, but it certainly doesn't help that issue. And I think that, the mission of the Everything Bundle was to just eliminate the barrier to entry. Now you use the plugins for the same price as, a few cups of coffee, you work, you get new plugins, and you stop thinking about money. The money issue is over. And it's great for us because we grow our business because we just, we put the gates down and we can grow our business with more customer acquisition. So it's a win-win strategy. It's been working great for us.
And it creates customer loyalty, and they stay and they come back, and it's we see the same thing. It's not unlike what we do for viewers and followers. Social media in the world, important for what you do, important for your business, important for your brand.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's on.
Yeah.
Our customers are on. It's a fantastic place to learn. Like I said, I mean, our Facebook group, I've learned so much from just being there and talking to people and going, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. That's what they need. Or maybe that's what they're, doing, and they don't even know they need this, but I'm learning it just by hearing them, just by hearing what they're doing.
Yeah. Yep. The beauty of this chair to our left, to both of our left, it's always filled with inspiring and innovative people that are going someplace or trying to do something. Most of the time, if not, certainly people we all respect. From the beginning, we've always loved what you've been doing, always down to support. For years at NAMM, we've been beside each other in booths and so on and so forth. And
I have said bad things about you in the past, but
I told you my favorite parts about the NAMM show was when Dave would come and start heckling me during one of my shows.
That's the Dave
I'm
thing.
bringing fruit this year. I'm storing it now, so it'll be quite ready for next year.
But he can't throw it, so it'll just
softball lob.
I'll wear one of those beekeeper suits just in case, man.
Or a slingshot.
We are not only friends, but we're fans, man. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You always
Thank
have
you
a
guys.
home here.
I love being here. I've been here a few times. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
You guys have been great friends over the years.
Absolutely. I
Can't tell you how much I
remember.
thank you.
Remember when Steven did the fashion show in Nashville?
Oh yeah, in Nashville. You remember that?
I do. Now I do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was great.
Dave, take us home.
Hey guys, I'm gonna try to navigate a real touchy subject. I'm glad that you got to see Steven, and I'm glad that you got to see a person that owns a company that you might be tempted to use cracks on and from. And I've used cracks before. I'm not happy about it. I used the excuse that I just couldn't afford real plugins. We do a disservice when we do that, not just to the manufacturer, but to all of us, because prices go up. But this is a guy that is typical of most of the people that own these companies. They're real people, and you're taking income from them. That's just not the right thing to do. I'm not sure I have the best solution in the world. Like I said, I'm guilty of it too. But we should think about that process, and be respectful to the people that make these products. They're just like us. We'll see you.
See you.